So our product preview today then is going to be our TriBlend pens. All right, so I'm just going to pop these, move them across, and I'm going to prop these into vision here for you. So we have got 4 sets of new colours for you. So if anybody that's familiar with our TriBlends, they are a solvent-based alcohol marker, and we already have a range of these out that fill the colour spectrum. So you can buy shades of a colour, and that's made up our sort of core base of them. These are our additional colours now that we're adding in, and they come in sets of 6. So you get 6 extra colours, and I'll go through them in a bit more detail when we come to the demo. So on this one, we have got exotic blends. So you can see there's some nice, bright, vibrant colours in there that will slot in with the system. That if you bought into this system, these will slot in nicely with some of the colours that you've already got. So that's our exotic blends. The next one I've got is dual shades. So if you like sort of more of those vintagey tones, that one's beautiful. So again, 6 different colours in that one. And don't forget, of course, each pen, the idea of the TriBlend is that you've got 3 shades within one pen. So although there's 6 pens, you're actually getting 18 different shades with these, just in one box. Okay, so this is just one of them. And the next one we've got is vintage blends. So again, a bit more of a pastel palette on this one. So if you prefer the pastel colours, this will blend in with the colour families that you've got already on a pastel tone. And then the 4th one that we've got is Woodland Shades, and that one speaks for itself. You've got all those lovely earthy colours in there. So the greens for the grass, you've got those earthy tones, browns and greys in that one. So, for those of you that aren't familiar with this system then, the first thing I'm going to do is literally show you what the pens look like. And I went straight for the dual shades. I must admit, I'm a bit of a vintage girl. I'm feeling a bit vintage today. So I'm going to open this one up and take the pens out for you. So just before I do that, on the back of the box here, I've got a key as to what is in my box. So on the back here, I've got 6 different sections here. You can just see on the back here. And it tells me that I've got sort of dark red shades, I've got true blue shades, coral shades. So those of you that have bought into this system will recognise some of those names. If you prefer to work with our numbering system, so for example, the dark reds are all coded up DR for dark red, it tells you which numbers we're adding to your collection. So you may have already got some of the dark reds from the original collection, but in this one we're extending it now with DR5, 6 and 7. So that gives you more chances of shading within that one colour family. So let's just take them out and have a look at the pens themselves. It's a fabulous idea, this. I know when I first saw them, when the actual original ones came out, couldn't believe that this was such a simple idea. So let's just move those to one side for a second so that we can see these here. So I've just taken out the 6 that are in that jewel collection here. So what is a TriBlend pen then? So if I just pull one of these out and come to the front here, you can see that my barrel is split into sections now. Okay. So it's not all one pen like we're used to. We've got all 3 shades encompassed in that one unit now. So for example, if I start at the top here, and it tells, if you're not sure, it tells you on the side here that I've got the lightest tone here at the top. I've got my mid tone in the middle, and then on the bottom end I've got the dark tone. So I would just flick it round and use that one. They've got that lovely bullet nib that we're used to seeing with our alcohol markers, so you can see those there. So this one's the light one. I'm going to bring some cardstock in a second and actually show you the colours. And then when you've finished with your light shade, if you take it apart in the middle, just there, you've got the mid-tone in the middle. That one makes sense to me. And then flipping it round and take the other end off, I've got my dark tone. So that enables you there to do your shading from light to medium to dark all in one pen. Absolutely fantastic. So let me just bring some cardstock in, which I did get out earlier. Here we go. So I've just got some from my marker pad here, which is sort of made specifically for the alcohol markers. You want a good quality cardstock, because obviously the idea with the alcohol markers is that you're going to saturate the card. And you can see where I was just having a little play earlier. So you've got some of the shades on there. I just picked a couple to have a go, and that's what I'm going to do with you now. So let's pick a different colour. We'll go for that really sort of dark cerise pink here. So this one's from our bright pink shade, and I'm going to take off my light one, and I'm just going to do a little bit of pen to paper just to show you some of the colours. So I'm going to saturate that paper there so that you've got plenty down to get the true colour. Pop the lid back on, and then I'm going to go to my midsection of the pen and pop this one next to it. So you can see that gradient of colour now within the same colour family. Saturate that card again so that you've got the true colour. Pop that one back together. Flick my pen round, and I've got the dark one right on the end there. So again, bring this one, saturate that card again. And if I was going to work with these pens, this is what I would be doing to start off with. I'd be making myself like a little colour chart here. Label them up with either the colours or if you prefer to work with the code, so that you know which they are. And then when you come to colour in your images, you can decide whereabouts you want to go. So I'm just going to go back to my midsection here. And I'm just going to overlap slightly where those two join, just to blend that edge a little bit. And then I'm going to go back to my lightest tone and blend over that midsection there, just to blend them together. And then of course, when you're working with an alcohol marker, what we need to remember is that this is still very wet. Okay, so we need to let that alcohol evaporate before you see the true colour there. So it just takes a little while until that's evaporated. So I always wait, if I'm colouring something, I actually sort of like to wait and just see what that true colour is going to look like. So that was just a really quick test for you there. What I'm actually going to do is bring in some stamped images that we can colour. So talking about stamping then, we need to think about a stamping ink. So depending on what ink range you use, I'm going to use our Finesse Ink Pads, which have been literally made to work with these markers perfectly. So if you want a really good professional finish on your work, then the Finesse Ink Pads are the way to go. So if I just bring these in now to show you what we're looking at. So on the front there, you've got Finesse on the front, and you've actually got a picture here of the alcohol marker. So this one tells me straight away that this is good to use with my alcohol pens. The two made to go together. And we come in 4 different colours with these. So I've got the Noir Black, which is obviously your darkest shade. I've got Flagstone, so if you prefer your outline artwork not to be quite so dark and not such a contrast, then the Flagstone's a really nice one to use. Just takes the edge off it a little bit. And then I've got Rustic Brown, so if you were working with something that was more, this would be great with that Woodland collection. So your outline artwork may be in a brown. And then I've also got Pebble, which is a lighter brown as well. So 4 different ones to choose from, and that's what I'm going to use to stamp out my image with. So let me just pop those at the front and bring in my stamping equipment again. So I've got my stamping mat and I've got my stamping platform. And I've just picked a stamp out of our box here in the craft room, which has got some flowers on. So let's have a little look. I've got my Noir Black one there. I'm going to take my ink pad to the stamp again. Lots of tapping on there just to get that ink to transfer to the stamp. Make sure it's got a good covering, and then I'm going to bring the cardstock back in here and we'll work on this same one. So pop that on here, line it up, give it a good press. I like to leave it just for a couple of seconds to let that ink absorb into the card. And then we'll let go of our stamping platform, and you've got that beautiful image stamped out there. So we'll just see if we can bring that in a bit closer for you so you can see that flower. Are we good there? Yep. So just to prove a point now then, I'm just going to choose one of these colours and let's have a look. We'll go for the light shade here. And I'll show you a little bit of blending in the middle, but just on the outside on this one, if we want to just focus in on this bit here, I'll just move my hand back a bit so you can see. I just literally want to go right over that whole section. Now, this is not testimony to my colouring. I can colour better than this, but I want to prove a point to you there about those inks that are made specifically. So let me just tilt that a little bit. Absolutely no bleeding on that outline artwork at all. So that's why it's important to get the right ink pad to work with your product. Some people say to me when I'm sort of out teaching and things like that, so I'm no good at colouring. It always bleeds into my work, and it's about getting the right ink pads in the first place. So let's have a look at this. We'll focus on this centre flower here now. And what I want to do is actually do a little bit of shading. So again, I'm going to go back to that lovely pink that I tested out at the top here. I'm going to look at my marker, make sure I start off with the lightest shade here. So you can see if I just flip it round there for you, on the end here, it just tells me that I'm working with the light one. So that's the first one. I'm just going to go one petal at a time. The other secret with the alcohol markers is not to colour too much at once, because once it starts drying out, then it makes it a little bit more tricky to blend. So I'm just going to work with one petal. I'm going to do little circular motions in there and just literally saturate that area with alcohol ink. All right. So that's where I want to go with that one. Pop my lid on. I'm then going to go to the mid one. So that's in the centre of my pen. And I'm going to add a bit more detail, and the stamps normally tell you where to do the shading. So, I don't profess to be the perfect colourist out there. I do still practice. I love it, but I'm not the best at it. But follow the guideline on your stamp. And I can see here down at the bottom now that there is some shading. So I'm just going to flick my central mid colour there. And then I'm going to go back to my light colour, and I'm just going to go over where those two join. Okay, and then the dark one at the end, again it's going to be darker still, right near the centre of the flower. So just a few little flicks in there, and then I'm going to come back down my colours again. So I've got my mid-tone over the top of that join just to blend it together, and then my light tone right from the end just to join. Okay, so let's just see if you can pick that up now and see that. Again, remember it is still a little bit wet, so once that alcohol's evaporated there, you'll be able to see that blend a bit better. But that's essentially where you get that TriBlend from. So let's just come back to these again and show you the different colours. So we did try the bright pinks, which was this section here that we've just had a look at. So you've got that lovely blend of 3 shades of the bright pink there. I have got blue turquoises, and again the codes on these, if you were looking at these for the codes, would be BT for blue turquoise. They're quite easy to follow, the system. It's a fantastic system to work with. The lower the number, the lighter the colour, the higher the number, the deeper the shade is on your colour choice. And you can see again there we've got that blend of turquoises going on. So that's that one. Then we had a go with the lighter pinks. So these one are just pale pinks. So again, PP shades on that one. And we've got that lovely blend of 3 different ones going on there. So what I'm going to do is just try the other 3 that's in this particular set, and then I'll just recap what we've got going on in all the other sets. So we have got dark reds. So let's just have a little play with the dark reds there and just do the same again. So again, just saturate it, and it's a great way to do your colour charts, this. And don't forget, once you've got them down, I would be writing at the side of this now, DR5, so that I know what shade it is if I want to then use it in a project. My mid-tone next to it is going just a shade darker. So again, once we've saturated it, we've got a little bit more depth in there. And then the dark one, really, really sort of almost getting into a burgundy shade there now. So just saturate that card, and you've got that lovely blend there. So we'd have DR5, DR6 and DR7. So remember, these are an extension to the collection that you've already, if you've bought into our TriBlend system and you're loving them, these are add-ons. So if you've been lucky enough to sort of buy into this system, let us know how you've got on with them. Send us a comment. We're going to have a check-in with Bernie in a few minutes, see who's actually talking to us today, but let us know what you think about them. I think it's sort of made colouring much more accessible, because literally you've got the 3 shades in one pen that you're guaranteed are going to give you this seamless blend with your colouring.